So one of the questions, maybe the biggest talking point going in, was quarterback. Michael Borky told you on Friday that Jackson Dart was going to start and that he was going to play the majority of the meaningful snaps in the game. That did happen. But Luke Altmaier came in for one play early in the game when Jackson Dart's helmet came off. He handed off and he went straight back to the sideline. And then Altmaier played a little bit late in the ball game. Outside of the interception right before the half, I thought it was a really solid day throwing the football. But Ole Miss kind of, you remember the approach that we talked about with Troy, where they ran the ball, established the game, and then tried to work on the passing game in the second half? In a lot of ways, it kind of felt like that again on Saturday. They knew they could dominate at the line of scrimmage, or they thought they could, and they did. Nick Broker at left guard is a machine.
It was the best they've played so far this year, which, you know, Georgia Tech is still not particularly good. That's the caveat that's needed in this game, but it is a step up, I believe, at least from Central Arkansas. And by I believe, I mean I know. And they looked better up front than they did even last week.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go on the road and shut out a Power 5 team. And honestly, from what I saw, they didn't do anything flashy. They ran the ball effectively, some play action passing. They played great defense, good special teams. That's a tremendous win for Ole Miss, in my opinion.
62 rush attempts for 316 yards net. They averaged 5.1 yards per carry, 6 rushing touchdowns through the air combined. All the quarterbacks, 12 of 19 for 231 yards. There were no passing touchdowns in the game. But all in all, a good day offensively. 81 plays, 547 yards, an average of almost 7 yards per play. We talked in Winners and Losers about some of the running back numbers. Zach Evans goes 18 carries for $134. He averaged 7.5 yards per carry, had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Quinshon Judkins had 19 carries for 98 yards. He averaged 5.2. And Bentley had 8 carries for 27 yards, but 2 touchdowns in the game as well. Jackson Dart, 10 of 16, 207. Malik Heath caught 4 balls for 78 yards. Jonathan Mingo, 3 for 74. Jordan Watkins caught 2 balls for 45.
You mentioned the interception on Dart. So there's 2 things that really stand out. What was
he looking at there, by the way? He had a receiver at the sideline in front of him, and he tried to kind of throw it across his body on the run into, like, triple coverage.
Bad decision. And apparently Kiffin just got after him.
Yeah.
And Luganville said, you know, coming out of the locker room that it was a rear end shoeing for sure. But 2 things are really important with Dart's game. 3 things, actually, on Saturday. The first one was he makes a bad mistake. You can call it a rookie mistake, but Matt Corral threw that exact interception on the Plains last year. Late, across the field, across his body, into traffic. It's a bad decision completely. What did he do after that, though? He was basically flawless after that. So gets into the locker room, gets chewed out by his coach, comes out of the locker room, and missed 1 deep ball that was just missed J.J. Henry, otherwise was flawless in the second half. So that's an important thing in terms of growth with your player. 2, he showed you his running ability, which couldn't do last year at Southern Cal because he played on a torn meniscus. Couldn't really run that well, but he played on it. He showed you that he's got that ability. And then 3.
Dart carried it 10 times for 55 yards. When you factor in sack yardage, it was 40 yards net.
It showed you the athleticism to be effective with his legs. And then you had that moment. And I don't know if Kiffin views it that way. He was still playing coy in the press conference today. We all know what the deal is here. Where he shouldn't have done it, and Kiffin said today he shouldn't do that, but he likes that he did. Running over, lowering his right. You know, you don't want your quarterback lowering his right shoulder, especially when his backup has a banged up right shoulder already, into a defender. But that was like this is his football team now. Like,
all right, so
he's the guy now. That was toughness, athleticism. Sideline went nuts. Jackson Dart is your quarterback.
So Dusty Dvorak was the analyst on the game, and he was a nose guard at Oklahoma and played in the NFL. And he kind of went crazy on that play and said that's a win the locker room play. He said that's a play where teammates absolutely go crazy because they see how invested their guy is. Now, Borky, everything you said is true. You don't need your quarterback to do that. You certainly don't need your quarterback to do that against Kentucky in 2 weeks.
Or when you're winning by 4 or 5 touchdowns, it's different with the game on the line or whatever.
Maybe when you are trying to establish yourself and you're trying to make a statement. Look, I mean, do we think all of that flashed through Jackson Dart's mind as he was running and saw a smaller DB coming at him, not expecting to get run over by a quarterback, and he just decided to plow into him? No, I'm not giving him credit for thinking all of those things. But there is a level of competitiveness and kind of gamer that you see on a play like that, and you're like, okay, yep, guys will rally around that.
For sure. And he threw the football well. I mean, the
back foot throw in the third quarter was beautiful.
To Malik Heath, I mean, just dropped it in there. A marked improvement in terms of comfort and command and throwing the football from week one. I mean, you saw we had people text us over the last couple of weeks, and you just saw the throw right there on the screen. He's not talented. What are you talking about? You saw the ceiling. He is not anywhere close to his ceiling yet, but there were a couple of throws that he made in this game that not every good college quarterback can make. He's still inconsistent. Missed a swing pass, for example. Made a bad decision on he should have either thrown the ball out of bounds sooner or just taken a sack. Instead, he just kind of flung it over his head to avoid getting sacked, and he ended up was sacked anyway. But those kind of things he's got to clean up.
Did they end up calling that grounding?
So they called him down.
Oh, okay. I got you. So he was down on the play.
Yeah, his ankle was down. But he showed you the ceiling, and that ceiling's incredibly high. He's not close to it yet, but if you watch that game and didn't come away with thinking that kid's got tools to be special, then you are looking at it with intent to see something else.
I didn't watch these last 2 touchdowns because the state game had started by then. Watching them now, the 2 touchdowns that Bentley scored, I mean, these are red zone touchdowns. You're inside the 10 on both of them. He could have run to Savannah and nobody touched him. I mean, he's just running straight up the middle and nobody's laying a finger on him.
Yeah.
That's a great job by that offensive line. Georgia Tech, by the way. There's another clock to start. Collins is done. There's no surviving that.
Nope.
Shout out. Who's that guy in Atlanta who was making fun of y'all? Not you, Borky.
Steak
Richard
Shapiro
and the Ole Miss fans. Yeah.
And
what happened there? I saw Borky tweet about it yesterday. I was like, what is going on?
I think he tweeted something about Georgia Tech getting mauled by a mediocre SEC team, and people got really mad about that.
Oh.
But he made the key mistake
10 games last year
on the internet. Telling people to stop or shut up doesn't work.
And
it's like a 5-year-old. Who do you say? You guys shut up. Get out of here, Ole Miss fans. What do you think they're going to do in response?
Did I see that a former colleague of ours works for him?
Yeah. Old Gagliano.
Same station, right?
I think he produces for him.
Okay. It's easy when you see 42-0 to talk about the offense, and there's plenty of reason to do that. I think the bigger story is Ole Miss's defense. They just pitched a shutout on the road against an ACC team with 7 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. And they did that they didn't create a turnover in the game. There were no forced fumbles. There were no interceptions. It was just tackle you, get you to the ground, and don't let you score. And then when you decide to go for it on 4th down, we're going to sack you for a loss of 7. Ole Miss had another block punt on special teams. Cedric Johnson picks it up. He goes into the end zone instead of just falling on it, but hey, whatever.
Did you see his quote after that, what he was asked about? They had punt safe on, and I'm paraphrasing. He was like, I just, came off the ball like I'm supposed to, and just nobody blocked me, so I just
might as well go block it. Might as well go block it.
Was Kiffin mad about that one?
No, I don't think he was mad about that one. Ole Miss has
Okay.
not allowed more than 21 points in 8 straight games. They are the only team in the country at the Power 5 level to have accomplished